Hey, dude, is that Magner?
For sure. Yeah, what's this call about?
This is GM. Like we were gonna sell you that car, company, the one in Europe. Well, my dad totally says I can't, so, sorry. It's not for sale.
Oh, dude, I'm so leaving you bad feedback on eBay.
Gareth Jones on Speed! Hello and welcome to Gareth Jones on Speed. I'm Gareth, he's Richard.
Hello.
No Zog. Zog apologises for not being able to be with us tonight. He's getting some paid work for a change.
How dare he?
I know, outrage.
And you and me, we're not at death's door necessarily, but certainly, death's front gate, death's patio, whatever you want. We're in death's porch because we've got man flu. And yet here we are, gamely struggling on, while Zog is taking the corporate shilling, so...
Disgraceful. We apologise for the lack of top frequencies on Gareth Jones on Speed today, but Richard and I have both got the same nasal congestion thing going on, which we hope you have too.
This show will contain 75% increase in sneezing.
Anyway, how are your boils?
Well, they're fine. They're okay. They've been attacked by macraps.
Right, now we've got all the health issues out of the way. Let's talk about cars. And the big news I think we should talk about this week is, of course, Liverpool winning Superleague Formula.
Is that big news? It's not, though,
is it? No,
but
it really isn't. Unless you're a football fan.
Well, yeah, but even then. We've talked about this Super League thing before, and we are the only people, literally in Britain, that do talk about Super League Formula, as far as I can work out. Yeah. But before we started recording, you were filling me in on this, and it sounds quite good.
Yeah,
really.
They've got these cars with these Menard engines, big V12.
Well, the V12s, which immediately, it's something I didn't even know until you told me earlier on.
And they scream, they really scream. They make a lovely noise. And because it's not F1, they don't have the sort of restrictions that F1 has on drivers being silly and showing off at the end of the race. So at the end of the super final that they have, because they have two 45-minute halves, first half, second half. Yeah. Then they have the penalty shootout, this 5-lap sprint for the top 5 or 6 cars, with a sprint for the line. And at the end of it, all 5 of the cars who took part were doing donuts on the start-finish straight.
Really?
Big donuts! And it was great entertainment. Fair play to them for that.
But that's a series of races that are slightly contrived. Formula One could probably adopt that.
Yeah.
It's almost contrived enough for Formula One.
Yeah.
I am sort of interested, but where would you watch it? Unless you actually went to, where is it? Donington they do it here?
The Donington, Jarama, they did one. Monza, even. The sound of V12s at Monza down the... Oh, that'd be lovely.
Can't complain.
Yeah. But you can watch it online. The Superleague Formula website has been... season's over now, but they had it on Superleague. And my old mate, Ben Edwards, who used to do the commentary for A1GP and does World Touring Cars and all that sort of thing. Ben was commentating and he really brought a level of excitement to it. It made it sound proper. I dislike the fact that it's football because I'm just down on football. But what I do like is that if I was a football fan, the team I would support would be Liverpool.
Really?
Yeah, it's a whole family thing.
Oh, right, okay, fair enough.
Ian Rush, Ian Rush, great
Ian
Welsh
Rush,
player.
Yeah, so Welsh looked like a shark. He used to frequent an Italian restaurant that I went to when I lived in Cardiff, and there were lots of pictures of him on the wall.
He's great.
Italian restaurants love that, where they put pictures of celebrities that have been there on the wall.
There's probably one of me in that restaurant. Is it called Topo Gigio, by any chance?
Yeah, I think it is.
There is a picture of me on the wall.
Is there? but you're being dwarfed. You're losing the battle
by the mighty Ian.
By the shark-faced, mustachioed legend that is Ian Rush, who had about 20 pictures of him on the wall, and this was in 1993.
He's from just down the road from me. He's from Flint. I'm from Holywell, but I used to snog his cousin when I was a little boy.
Did she have a shark face and a moustache?
She did. Bit of a worry on a 12-year-old girl at the time, really. But anyway, Superleague Formula, fair play. They've made it into 2 seasons now. Well done.
Yeah, we scoffed. I scoffed, but I won't scoff anymore because I'll go and have a watch. Because V12's at Monza.
Brilliant.
What's not to like?
And the cars look great. Seeing a car decked out in the Liverpool colours, it looks right. It kind of looks like a Ferrari. It's lovely.
On a sort of retro tip as well, when I think of Liverpool colours, and I know they're not sponsored by them anymore, but because you've mentioned Ian Rush, I just think of Crown Paints now. Do you remember when they sponsored Liverpool?
Yes.
TV's Violet Berlin's here.
I want to interject.
Go on.
Go for it.
I want to say that this Formula Football thing...
Formula Football, it's called, yeah.
Formula Football is all very well, but they sing the wrong anthems.
It's true, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
At the end, it
What do you
sounds
mean?
all wrong.
Yeah,
What?
Violet's right. When it came to the podiums, the outright winner was Liverpool.
Yeah.
So they put Adrian Vallis, who drives for Liverpool FC, which is a strange name for a...
weird, isn't it?
It's wrong, isn't it? And they put him on the podium, and they played... Adrian Vallis, Adrian Vallis, Adrian Vallis, Adrian Vallis, the Spanish national anthem, because he's a Spanish driver. They should have played Walk On! And I can't
Yeah.
sing anymore for that, for copyright reasons.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Or the other one about a boat that goes across the
That's
river.
right, they should have played that, yeah. Or anything by Frankie Goes to Hollywood, or even...
Songs that Liverpool Football Club sing are always quite mawkish, aren't they? Now that I think about
great.
it. They're really mawkish songs. I don't know.
They're practically Welsh Scousers, Liverpool being the capital of North Wales.
Well, yeah, because it's weird, isn't it? And I think this, and I'm from the northwest of England, but I always think that Liverpool is not the northwest of England. Liverpool is Liverpool. It's his own sort of...
There's a saying, Scousers, bear me up if this is right, if you're listening in Liverpool, they say that Liverpool turned its back on England and looked towards Wales and Ireland, which is
and
kind
the
of
US
true.
as well.
And the
ultimately.
US,
It's got,
because
there was a big port, and it's had a lot of influences, a lot of external.
That's why
influence
rock and roll
on-
came into Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely.
What me?
But I'm just saying that the point stands. It's not just Liverpool, is it? That they should be singing the football songs.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the end,
Yeah.
not the country song. It's a bit weird singing a country song.
Aren't you a QPR supporter?
I might have
Are you?
been.
Is there a
never knew
QPR
that.
song?
Well, no. To clear this up, I'm not. I can't say I'm not. It's still hard to say that. But when I was a teenager, I lived around the corner and I went to all the matches, home matches. So yeah, kind of. But then that bad man is in charge of QPR now, isn't he? Which
What,
sort
Flav?
of- yeah, that kind
Yeah,
of
so
put
now
the-
their song is Mr. Lover Lover or something like that. Probably. I don't know, I'm speculating. I don't think songs
I think
rotate
it-
around who owns the club, otherwise Chelsea's would be like money, money, money. Do you know my favourite football song? And I can't say it because it's rude, but there's that one that's your bracket's not very good and you know you are, which is the tune of Go West. It always makes me laugh why it's the sort of camp anthem, but it's quite
How
an
did they
abrasive
adopt
song.
that one?
I know, it's great. I'd love to know how football songs start. Because someone's got to come up with them.
Clever.
And then just keep on singing them until everyone goes, that's quite good, that. I'll sing it. And then it's like the Mexican wave. But we're not talking about cars anymore, are we?
We're talking about football.
Football songs.
I must have I said
They
this
should
on
have
the
a
show?
debate. They should have a debate about what song should be sung at the end, though, because we've just sort of given a
Yeah,
whole
I know.
load
Well,
of
this
different
is something
kinds
that
of
needs to
songs.
address, yeah.
They should have. They should.
They seem
get
to have
that
got
out
everything
there.
else sorted. V12's good.
Yeah.
Racetracks, Donington, Monza, places
Elan
like that. Good.
chassis, yeah, they're good
Good.
chassis, yeah.
Some reasonable drivers they've got in there.
Antonio Pizzonia, Sebastian Bourdais, Adrian Vallis is very good. Hoping Tongue. I mean, they're better than A1 GP drivers in some
So,
respects.
but for a ha'porth of songs, the whole ship is spoiled. And
I reckon there's someone in the crowd. You go to a Super League.
are there any
race.
people in the crowd, though, is my question.
Apparently there were 33,000 people at Jarama for the last race, but when I saw it on television, it didn't look like it, I have
Is
to
this
say.
Fox News?
Yeah,
Did you see this
yeah.
thing this week where they just made up, they used some footage from 2 months ago to make a crowd look bigger.
But there must be someone in the crowd singing things like, "There's only one Eddie Jordan, two Schumachers." One of them's called Ralph, one's called Michael. Only one Adrian Vallet. Is that out of copyright, that song?
Well,
Quantum
we'll
America, we're in
find
trouble
out, won't we?
now,
Yeah. Yeah, Spanish lawyer's letter.
You've played Guitar Hero. You've played Band Hero. You've played DJ Hero. Now get ready for the new sensation in interactive games with heroes somewhere in the title.
Pit Stop Hero!
The clock is counting down.
Change the tires in less than 5 seconds.
Watch out, Petal's getting ahead.
Get the fuel hose on. No, wait, this is 2010. There is no fuel hose.
Oh no, you've run over the mechanic.
Use the special lollipop controller to get your car out faster than the McLaren.
Confusing Ferrari light system.
But watch out for Alguersuari accidentally stopping in your pit like a big, silly idiot.
Oh no, Braun is doing a long middle stint.
Pit Stop Hero!
Renault is 3 stopping.
Not as hard as it used to be.
Gareth Jones on speed with Sniff Petrol, but no zone. But we've got mileage.
What else are we going to talk about, sorry?
That other matter of that Formula One team, who aren't a Formula One team anymore. Toyota.
Yeah. Which is...
I think it's a tragedy, and I don't often swear in this programme, but I think it's a tragedy.
Is it a tragedy?
It's a monkey's tragedy.
You'll just be hearing a series of bleeps because Gareth cleans this show up in the editing process. But my God, that was a cavalcade of swearing there.
I do think it's a genuine shame that Toyota have pulled out after, I don't know, how many years?
2002 was it they started?
Something like that. I don't know.
7 years.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a shame?
I do, yeah, I do. I just want everyone. I want everyone in Formula One. I don't care whether they're good or bad. I just want them in there. The more the merrier, because the greater the number of people competing, the greater the challenge for those who win, I believe.
Yes,
yeah.
but I agree with that. But this vacuum is being filled by these new teams that are coming up. Who knows what they'll be like? Probably. But you can't say that for sure that they'll be awful, because Brawn proved, albeit with a bit of a running start on that one, thanks to Honda, but nonetheless.
And the genius that is Ross Brawn.
And the genius that is Ross Brawn. Force India had their little moment this season, didn't they? So, you can't discount.
It can happen. It needs a big rule change for that to happen.
But they won't be making their own engines, will they? The new teams that are coming.
The new teams, no, they're all.
So that will make a big difference.
Yeah, they'll all have Cosworth engines. Cosworth engines which are allowed to be developed throughout the year. Did you know this? Is no engine freeze on the Cosworth next year?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The engine working group are discussing whether or not they're going to allow development of the Renault and Mercedes block, which are the only two, and the Ferrari block, the only engines left. But Cosworth, they have a series of tweaks throughout the year. They're going to need it though.
Well,
I don't think the Cosworth is the best engine in F1. I think I can honestly say that now.
I saw my former colleague and all-round good bloke Tiff Nadell on Twitter, of all things, saying last week that he noted that basically it's going to be sort of 2 or 3 big factory corporate teams, then a bunch of privateers using Cosworth engines, and it's back to the 70s.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
So
Cyborgs are back.
My colleague Jeremy Clarkson, however, has a different view, where he says it's going to become, the Formula One will become the Scottish Premier League next year. You've got 2 big dominant things at the top, and then everyone else bumping around at the back.
He does have a point.
Don't encourage him. Really,
He's
but he does have a point. You're right.
Yeah, he has a point. I think. I think the other teams will struggle. If you look at the case of Toyota, a company with some of the greatest resources available on the planet in terms of motor engineering, and especially in a year where KERS was introduced, they should have had a head start over anyone. Failed to make the cut, proving just how big a challenge Formula One is.
Yeah.
No wonder they pulled out. If we can't do it, no one can. What do Lotus and US F1 and sorry about that. And
right, I would equally apportion out some of your ha-ha-has to Lotus as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are not Lotus.
No, they're not Lotus any more than I'm Andy Crane.
I heard a rumour the other day, actually.
Oh, great. Go on.
I don't know whether I can say this. From that friend of ours who we were going to get over this evening that's not here.
Oh, yes,
say his name.
Yes.
Met someone, and probably really shouldn't say this guy's name, he's the brother of someone you'd have heard of.
Oh, yeah. It was that person I'd heard of, a racing driver in the 70s? Shh. Like fags and
Do you know
birds.
about this?
I don't know. I'll find out. Depends where it is.
Well, apparently the people who are not Lotus are trying on the sly to buy all the real Lotus's former assets to essentially get some ready-made heritage, all their old cars and things like that are kind of somehow owned by the brother of the man that you know about.
That's right.
Did you know this?
Well, I think we can say this much to bring people...
Is this in the public domain? I didn't know.
Well,
I thought it was all on the download because the man that I know was talking to the other man. Yeah, and
what we do know, and what is public knowledge, is that the Lotus brand that has been licensed by what initially was the Lightspeed F3 team and is now the Malaysian government, who are the backers of the Lotus Formula One team, along with Tony Fernandez, I think his name, who's not a 70s club singer, but the man who runs Air Asia.
Yes.
They've licensed the Lotus name from James Hunt's brother, David Hunt, who owned the Lotus racing mark because he used to run Lotus vintage racing, all the old cars. So that's how they've appeared to be Lotus. How Heffel feel about this, I don't know.
pretty annoyed, I think.
Yeah.
But
But again, Heffel's owned by a Malaysian group of people, isn't
Like
it?
Proton,
Yeah.
yes. Just, I keep wanting to say every time I try and say this, I keep wanting to say the head of Proton is called Sidi Bou Said, but that's actually a
They were a band, wasn't
They
it?
were a band, but they're named after a town in what's the country? North African, worst holiday I've ever had.
Sudan, Turkey, Morocco,
North.
Algiers.
No, the other one,
Algeria.
Tunisia.
Oh, guaranteed to give. Do you have big bum trouble?
No, I had flu when I went there, like proper flu, not man flu like we've got now. Like, it was just a terrible holiday. But anyway, I did go to Sidi Bou Said. Pretty place. I seem to remember it's all white buildings with blue window frames. But it was also a band. In no way does it run Proton. Who are a terrible company. I tell you what, as well, and I don't want to worry people who love Lotus, but there are still rumblings in Pacific Rim about the amount of protectionism that is granted to Proton in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Essentially,
Yeah.
prohibitive taxes and import restrictions on
the cars,
imported cars.
Yeah.
And allows Proton free reign. But they're an artificial car company as much as they were created by the government in the sort of mid-80s. And when their first car came out, the Malaysian government forbade the press in Malaysia from saying anything bad about their new car. That's how protectionist they are. And they've sustained it for years. You know how Perodua, the other Malaysian car company that makes...
You love Perodua, don't you?
Perodua,
Violet loves
I like
Perodua.
No, I like Perodua as well.
Perodua Kellyser, was it?
Perodua Kellyser.
I remember why I love them, but I know I love them.
Because there's something sort of a bit hopeless about them. But actually, what's it called? The Perodua Kellyser, is the little one.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous little car.
It's a licensed Daihatsu, isn't it?
Yeah, they basically, every time Daihatsu's got bored and finished with the design, Perodua build it. In fact, now they're building the Mivi, which is the current
gorgeous.
Daihatsu Sirion. They're getting current cars.
Don't you think the Mivi's a pretty car?
No.
Really?
But it's a good little car.
I think it's a lovely looking car.
We had it on Top Gear when we did that stupid thing with small cars where the presenters went and harangued the government in Parliament Square. And Clarkson had it, and he hated it. I had to drive it back to London afterwards because it was the only car that was free. We'd finished filming it and I needed to get back to London, but for continuity reasons, because they needed to get some cutaways, as we say in the telly industry, of the slogans written down the side of it. It still had "I don't love you, darling" written down the side. So it looked like I was some kind of jilted lover in my crummy Malaysian car. But I tell you what, it was a great little car, and I think Jeremy's bang wrong on this, that he was sort of deliberately out to hate it because he hates all those sort of cheaply made Pacific Rim cars, but it was a perfectly decent, rather amusing little car. I just hate Proton because I think they're just an artificial car company that doesn't deserve to exist. Their cars are fairly mediocre, despite Lotus's best efforts, and they only exist because the Malaysian government props them up in a way that proper car companies that we care about don't get anymore.
Bit like Austin Rover in the 70s.
Well, yes, and I do care about them, or I did, and look what happened to them. So it'll only end badly. That's what I'm saying. Proton will go down because as soon as there's some kind of trade meeting, and which they've already had, and they've said, "Look, stop doing all this protectionist stuff." And Malaysia's gone, "Yeah, okay." Actually, no. And then, but they will eventually, I think, for wider political reasons, get told to stop being so protectionist, and then Proton will be dead because Perodua have already overtaken them in terms of the proportion of the domestic market that they have.
I've known for many years that Proton were gearing up for an assault on Le Mans, probably using the Lotus brand. In concert, seriously, it sounds like what?
Your language, an assault on them.
An assault on it. Right, let's have an assault.
That's the wrong car company to do.
Yeah, an assault. You don't assault. Seriously, they were gearing up for this, but the idea of Lotus now being hijacked by the Malaysian government, but not the part of the Malaysian government that is Proton to go into Formula One, may well have scuppered their Le Mans plans.
We saw some Proton racing, though, didn't we?
Oh, the Proton Weira GTI Cup at the first ever. We did.
Hey,
at the first ever Malaysian Grand Prix.
I just remembered Proton did make a good car. The Satria GTI.
Do you remember it? Yeah, sorry, it was a Satria, not the Weira. It was the Satria GTI.
Those?
Yeah,
really?
that's right. Yeah,
those terrible wheel arch extensions that with fake Allen key bits to make it.
That's
like
right.
As
yes.
if you'd Allen key a body kit onto your car, and you come out one morning and someone had just nicked it using one of those things you get with IKEA furniture.
It was a good car,
but it was a great car to drive. Yeah. Really good car to drive. Genuinely so. I mean,
Lotus
because it was
handling.
properly Lotusized and less protonized.
But now the Malaysian government own Formula One. Is that what happened?
I'm hugely confused, but I'm pretty sure that it's something to do with QPR.
Excuse me, officer. I'd like to report my car stolen.
Certainly, madam. Let me get some details from you then. Registration number?
GAZ 06 TOP.
Right. Colour?
Well, it's aubergine, really.
Okay. Purple. Make and model?
It's a Perodua Kalisa.
Perodua Kalisa. And where did you leave your car, madam?
Just on the high street. I had an optician's appointment, and when I came back, my car wasn't there.
Are you sure, madam?
Yes, of course.
Now, I want you to think carefully for me. Retrace your steps in your mind.
I have done. I've told you. I parked it on the high street. Anyone would think you don't believe me.
Look, I can see that you're a bit upset, but just do me a favour. For 1 minute, stop and really think about your journey into town today to the opticians and where you left the car.
OK. I phoned the opticians. They told me my glasses were ready. I got my bus pass and my bag. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. This is awfully embarrassing. I caught the bus into town, didn't I? I didn't drive in at all. Oh, how did you know?
Madam, we deal with an awful lot of car thefts. Audis, BMWs, Volkswagens, Honda Civics even. But you're the first person who's come in here and reported a Perodua Kalisa missing. Nah, no one would ever steal that car.
Gareth Jones at speed! Cynical us? Nah!
I put out a tweet today which said, tell us what you think we should be talking about when we record the programme. So I got a whole bunch of stuff back. Some of it is useful, some of it's a bit bonkers. Someone suggested that now that Donington is basically a set of muddy quarter pipes, how about recreating BMX Beat, which was a show I used to do back in the 80s about BMX freestyling. That was from someone called Pit Flaps. Great name. Here's one from Nigel Twist. No relation, although he is.
No, Stop it. You're doing this all wrong.
Am I?
What you have to do is like That's Life. You have to pause and then a lady's voice has to come in. Or a regional accent.
Regional accents, yes.
Okay, and read it out.
The trouble is that because you don't have to declare where you're from on Twitter, it's quite hard. We have to make
Well, that
them
never
up.
stopped them on That's Life. I'm sure they made them up.
But
You're so gullible.
Because at the end it would usually say like Anne in Glasgow, and they would have done a really thick Glaswegian accent, even though, you know, maybe she was from Iceland or something. They never really said. But
Well, if I do Nigel Twist's accent, he's actually born in Manchester, brought up in Rill, and sounds remarkably like me, so...
But you said that he lives in California.
He
as
does,
well,
he lives in
so-
San Francisco. He's been Californianised a little bit.
Wow, that would be a hell of a voiceover artist
Come on
trying
then.
to combine
Come on
those
then,
influences.
Gareth.
Go
Okay.
for it. I dare
Axe
you.
Nigel Twist.
Look you, there's lovely dude. Smart. That does it, doesn't it? Anyway, Nigel says, look, there's a race at Sears Point next year featuring electric motorcycles. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Be Volt ahead, that's interesting. Anyway, Snugglesworth, you should definitely talk about Kamui Kobayashi.
Excuse me?
What?
Probably a woman, don't you think?
Oh, go on, then you
Snugglesworth?
go and do it then.
Well,
You should definitely talk about Kumi. And then from me, you should definitely talk about Kumi Kobayashi and make a list of the worst F1 drivers ever. Cheers from Chile.
Chili! Oh no! You're going to have to do it again,
I
but with
can't do
a
a Chile accent.
What part of Chile are you originally from then?
kind of Spanish. Yeah, well, but
Come on, you can, Richard, come on.
Hello, you should definitely talk about Kamui Kobayashi and make a list of the worst F1 drivers ever. Cheers from Chile.
Do they say cheers in Chile?
no, I think there might be an expat.
All right, okay.
Let's pretend they're a lovable Cockney barra boy. Gareth, if you do the honours.
Good, stand me. You should definitely talk about the Kamui Kobayashi. Make a list of the worst F1 drivers ever. Cheers from Chile.
Hang on, became Brummy at the end.
Brummy George Formby. If Snugglesworth turns out to be, I don't know, a Canadian transsexual or something, they're going to be very miffed about all this.
Shall I do a Canadian
If they're
transsexual?
a Canadian transsexual, I think you've probably got bigger things to think about than somebody reading out
We
your...
could just talk about Kamui Kobayashi.
Yeah, because I should make it clear that whoever Snugglesworth is, they put a comma in there. They're not suggesting that Kamui Kobayashi is one of the worst Formula 1 drivers ever. I think the point is to talk about him, and then, as a separate issue,
The worst
do
drivers
what I
ever.
was doing with my mate Paul this morning when we were having a cup of coffee, and we were not mentally because we were speaking, so we were just as you do when you're just shooting the breeze, talking about
You
worst.
sure it wasn't
front drivers.
telepathy between the two of you?
Yeah.
It can happen.
And
Who was on your list?
Well, we didn't really get further than Takeo Nui, to be honest.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
He's everyone's worst F1 driver's worst F1 driver. He's the thinking man's worst F1 driver. We were also saying, if I told you about this, that he's somehow involved in some kind of diamond mining project these days.
What?
Yeah, and we were speculating on whether that's how he stayed in F1 so long, because he maybe had a diamond mine back then, because he was like the pay driver's pay driver, wasn't he, as well? He was there for what, 2 years, which is 2 years too long, considering that he was really hopeless.
I would love to talk about the worst drivers in F1 ever, but that will need a bit of preparation, and probably Zog here as well. So we will save that one. Okay, Gaza R tweeted to say...
Gaza R, I think I remember him. He's a Swedish opera singer.
Gaza R.
After you, Richard.
I just remembered I've left my voice at my diamond mine.
Podcast topics. The Force India Lotus Aerolab controversy. It's the Force India Aerolab Lotus controversy. We have talked quite a bit about Lotus already in this show, but I don't know if you've heard, apparently Force India are watching the design of the new Lotus F1 car very carefully, because they reckon it looks just like last year's Force India car.
And this is because of some pictures released by Aerolab, this independent aero company, put out, and it looks like a Force India in their wind tunnel.
Allegedly has some writing on the tyres of the model in the handwriting of someone who works at Force India, who is not Mike Gascoigne, who is the link between the two, because he designed that old car, now this one.
Yeah.
It's
and was also
one.
in The Gentle Touch and Cat's Eye.
What?
Hello, lad. Do you want to get in this car with me?
No, I'm not getting in that car with you.
Tell you what, you come for a ride with me in this car, I'll give you £1.
I'm not getting in that car if you give me £1.
All right, you just jump in the car with me then, and I'll give you a £5.
I don't care how much money you give me, I'm not getting in that car.
I'll give you a £10 if you get in this car with me.
Look, Dad, I said if you bought a Proton, I wouldn't let you pick me up from school.
Gareth Jones on speed.
Gaza R's next subject, Trully's NASCAR test. Right, I said if Trully goes to NASCAR, I will change my name back to Gaz Top. I stand by that. Okay. Although apparently Gordon Waltrip has said that is it Gordon Waltrip? Has said that he would be really happy to have Trully in NASCAR and was deadly serious about having him on board.
Crikey.
Really? It could be a big problem for me. I'll have to
Really
start growing my hair again.
Bring the bank and everything.
And this is the best one, actually, I think, of the lot. Gaza R, thanks for this. I didn't know about this till you told me. DC, David Coulthard, alleged to be joining the DTM, the Deutsche Touringmotoren, and leaving BBC F1. Richard, what do you reckon? Is that a possibility?
Well, I didn't know about this until you told me. So credit to Gaza R, who told Gaza T, who told me. And then we looked at that news story. And this is on... Where did you see it? Planet F1 or somewhere?
Yes, I think it was Planet F1.
So go and look it up, because it's really interesting. And I think it quotes Coulthard as saying that he always planned to take this year out to see if he missed racing.
Had to look for other opportunities in racing. That's very telling, a year out, isn't it? His gap year.
Well, he's what, 37, 38?
Bit late to have a gap year, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, he'll come back from all these races with lots of leather bracelets.
I've learned how to do poi now.
Yeah. It's a sign of getting older, isn't it, when you find students on gap years irritating? Oh, my God. Oh, yeah, we really got to know the real Argentina or something. It's like, no, you didn't. It's just, you didn't.
You
don't live there now, do you?
I can play the
You're going to Bristol to study geography now. That's what you're doing. It's a sign of getting old. I've become very mean-spirited about people who, I was once one of them. Except I didn't go on a gap year because I'm not a lazy slacker with that.
Thank you very much. Talking about lazy slackers, now that he's had his gap year at DC, I think it'd be a big mistake for him to go to the DTM, and I bet you think the same, don't you?
Yes, because Formula 1 drivers, ex-Formula 1 drivers who go into the DTM always do badly. Even Mika Hakkinen.
Yeah. So, hang on a minute, there is a proviso here, right? Really good Formula 1 drivers do badly in the DTM.
Yes.
John Lacey, Mika Hakkinen.
Yes.
However, DC was a good Formula 1 driver. A very good Formula 1 driver. I'm teasing, really, but he didn't win any championships. Perhaps that mean he will do well in the DTM?
No,
And
because
women
Ralph
do
Schumacher.
well in the DTM, don't they?
Women are in the DTM, or women have been in the DTM. Lovely Catherine Legg and lovely Susie Stoddart have both appeared in the DTM and done all right, actually. Catherine's a very good driver, I think. Very good driver. But it's a tough old series.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Very
So I gather.
tough.
Coulthard's a racing driver, and as we know, they're not like mere mortals, and they can't switch off that part of their brain that seeks the thrill of racing, unless you're Damon Hill, I guess, who did sort of just go, I'm going to go off and play my guitar now.
I think it will really hurt Coulthard to be standing around in the paddock when his former team, both his former teams, are doing so very well at the moment.
But I think it's a shame. I think he's really good on
just
the
saying,
TV.
he's great, yeah.
But I mean, who could they replace him with?
Me. Anyway, moving on.
It's true. but no, I would endorse that.
Actually,
Hearty congratulations to Coulthard, because I think he's
been great,
a
hasn't he?
good pundit, and he got better and better as the season went by.
And he made a good team with Eddie as well, I thought.
Yeah,
They were funny, weren't
They
they?
were funny
Do you know
together.
as well that I think because I had quite a few emails, and I guess you did too, to the podcast address, but I certainly did to Sniff Petrol, from people going, "Get Eddie Jordan off the telly," and it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's like these people who vote the Wazzocks off Big Brother first, and then you're just left with extremely boring television.
Is Eddie Jordan the Jedward of Formula One?
Quite possibly, but God, do you know, I only watched X Factor the first time last weekend because I was around someone's house and my phone.
No.
Oh Lord.
Okay.
Sorry.
You can take the call if you want.
No, I'm not going to take the call. It's fine. It's just my girlfriend ringing me, probably to say stop talking about the X Factor, but she hears everything. But I thought Eddie Jordan and that sort of friction between them, but because Jake Humphrey is get me a mate, and I was talking to him. Now he's back from the travelling around the world, and you know, he said that they're all really good mates off camera, and there's no animosity. Yeah, they disagree about stuff, but as you do, you know, with your mates, and but that sort of slight tension where you always
You
thought that
don't
Coulthard was
normally
going to
get that.
lamp him. I thought it was
Yeah.
TV gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
They're not all
would
just
not-
going, "Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, you're right." Yeah,
Especially on the BBC, it's so
Yeah.
polite, and you know,
Exactly.
you get, and you also, these are two guys who know what they're talking about.
exactly. Yes, quite
You
so.
know, and have completely different perspectives on it. So
Yeah.
It is Laurel and Hardy, isn't it? It
Yes.
really is. There's a
No,
sketch there.
I
isn't
mean,
it?
Eddie Jordan, I find him deeply irritating sometimes, but I would not take him off that coverage for a second because he's brilliant. And also, there's that slight sense of freewheeling that you don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
next, because he does trot off and grab
Yeah.
people and things.
Brilliantly.
like that.
I love
Yeah.
him for that.
No, he's
That's
gold.
rock and roll.
They should pay him more.
Okay, we better move on because we're running out of time. This
Yes.
is going to be a very long show. Okay, Sean P. Mullady, who I thought, isn't that P. Diddy's real name?
Yes.
He wants us to talk about the Silverstone v Abu Dhabi heritage. Good
Well,
point.
did we touch on that last time? But yes.
Yeah, I think we have. Not a great race. It's tricky. Apparently, I've heard it through the electro grapevine that we should hold our breath because there's going to be some very good news about the British Grand Prix announced in the next few days. And it could happen between me saying this and this show actually going up on air. So we just have to leave that one, unfortunately.
Alton Park, who'd have thought it?
Hey!
Should we move on to the next one?
Yep.
Pioneer?
Pioneer, by the way, does some fantastic cartoons inspired by things that have happened in this show. If you go to the...
That's the bloke.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you go to the Gareth Jones on Speed Facebook fan site, you will see some of his work there. I'll link to it anyway. He says, okay, F1 silly season. My tip is Kobayashi and Trulli at Lotus. We're back to Lotus again.
Hang on,
And
if this-
Kobayashi
this-
and
this-
Trulli. It's a theme.
This bloke makes cartoons out of things we say on this programme.
Yep.
Help! I'm being attacked by a monkey that looks like Janet Street Porter.
Good luck with that one then,
Best of
Pioneer.
luck, mate.
Okay, we've talked a lot about Lotus, although I think Trulli at Lotus is more likely than Trulli at NASCAR because of the Mike Gascoigne link. He was
Yep.
with Mike Gascoigne not only at Toyota when he failed to make a good car for them, but also at Jordan when he made a reasonably good car for them. Right. And the demise of the devalued Peugeot GTI badge. Richard, you've got a handle on this, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just a story that broke this week that someone from Peugeot said that they won't be making any more GTI badged cars. They only do one at the moment, the 207, and they only do it in this country because in other countries it's called the 207 RC. But
Why don't they call it the RC in this country, Richard? Is it a bum name?
I think it's a bit, I think it was. They might find it a bit cheeky.
It's
So
not all
yeah.
it cracked up to be. Oh!
I wish we'd never asked.
If you've got any other suggestions, do please give us a ring. So, they're going to stop doing GTIs, and they say that any sporty cars they do in the future will be sort of niche coupes like that new RCZ, which they're using the RC thing in. But I think the only reason we care about this is because Peugeot used to do a lot of GTIs, and they were all really good. The 205, of course, which everyone always goes on about as a high watermark for Peugeot, but the 106 GTI was great. The 306 GTI was fantastic. I love those. I wish they were better made.
So good that Autocar chose to use one as their track car, didn't they? They bought a really old 306.
Oh, the 309 GTI they bought, yes.
Was it 309? Oh, sorry, I thought it was
another
306.
one. Another 309 GTI, another fabulous car. They even used to do a 505 GTI. It's sort of unthinkable now that a car of that size, which is sort of like, I suppose, a rival to like a Mercedes E-Class or something, but I can't imagine... Well, who makes big cars like that that's not a German manufacturer? No one
Citroën,
anymore.
And they don't go, do they?
But it'd be like, I don't know, the Saab 95 GTI. It would just seem strange.
It's wrong, isn't it?
But back in the 80s, that was acceptable. So, I think we're only sad about this because Peugeot used to make great GTIs. But the thing is, Peugeot used to make great cars generally, and now they just don't.
But they're getting better again.
They are getting better again.
I really think they are. There's some good stuff coming out about the new 3008.
Yeah, but
I'm really genuinely interested in the 5008, and I'm going to choose that as my car for summer holidays next year, I promise you. I think it's just the right vehicle. It's another one of those 4x4s that isn't a 4x4, and therefore a good idea.
Yeah, but that's not a bad look at that 5008 was.
Although Peugeot, I reckon, should bring back, if they're ditching GTI, bring back the best and hardest name for a performance car that they've ever used. Do you remember the old 405 M16? What a great name for a car, though. I mean, the car was good.
It was an MI16, though.
Oh!
But Rover did an engine called the M16.
Did that? It wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I remember that wrong.
Yeah, no, it was the MI16. I know this because my dad had a succession of 405s and never the MI16. But we always used to have the brochures lying around. Well, I did in my bedroom because I was a geek.
Leave it there.
Yeah, not in that way.
They should call it the M16, though. It sounds like a machine gun.
No, there was the Rover 800 had an M16 engine in it for a while. Yeah. They were superseded by the T16. I'll get my coat. Goodbye.
Yes, you've been listening to Gareth Jones on Speed with some deeply obsessed people talking about cars. One of them was Violet Berlin.
I was Zog.
I was also Zog.
I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. Bye.
And Richard's gone. See you next time when Zog will be back.
To send us an email, see pictures, get song lyrics, join our Facebook fan site or follow us on Twitter, go to garethjones.tv. Gareth Jones on Speed is made in London by Whiz Bang.